Oh wow, hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Minecraft Musings. Sorry, this is now two for two this morning that I didn't have to clear up room. So it's about 9:50. Um, 54. Okay, cool. So, anyways, we started talking about substance use, substance abuse, mental wellness, all that. I think it's important to take a step back and look at the contributing factors to mental illness. What would cause somebody to tick? What would cause somebody to not be okay? Well, there's a lot of things, and that's why I wanted to start talking about relationship stuff here soon, because I've been a contributing factor to some ladies in therapy. I know. Not intentionally, just the way that we're made, the way that we're driven. Like, at my base, I am supposed to go procreate. I am supposed to go find a woman, impregnate her, and have kids. That's what my inner biology is telling me to do. And it drives you from the minute you hit puberty to about the time your prefrontal cortex moves over. There's just a mad rush to try to impregnate every single woman that you, not every single, I mean, of course you're attracted to things physically, large hips, large chest, beautiful face, like how are the kids going to look? There's all sorts of factors that drive the actual trying to do what we're doing right there, only with people. Um, and so you do things like play sports or, try to get a good job, try to get money, try to have a fancy something so you attract a mate that has all these things. And that causes a lot of pressures on women, on young ladies. Like they're gonna just be bombarded with men trying to hit on them. And now women too, but I mean it's a little more subtle with women. That's more pleasure, that's more happiness and mental wellness. So it's not so much like that primal urge to procreate. And yeah, we'll get into a lot of that, but my own personal experience was I played football back in high school and middle school. I played for quite a few years. I was just a lineman. I wasn't anything too special, but at the same time, I got to walk around with a jersey every game day. The whole school knew who was a football player, and it was a big deal. Like if you were a football player, whew. And same with a cheerleader. Like cheerleaders were supposed to be like put up on pedestals. Cheerleaders and volleyball players. Like, I mean, my high school sweetheart was a volleyball player. She had probably the perfect body I've ever seen. Like she was very athletic, very kept herself in shape, spent a lot of time and effort making herself appealing to try to do what she thought she had to do to, have kids, raise a family, and enjoy this life that we call life. As does everybody, and of course there's going to be somebody being like, well, what about gay people? What about so see, there's the thing, is there is also a bunch of pleasure from doing homosexual things. So like, and some people feel that, and for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons I think that um, because the whole idea of gay people is it's not true. It's not completely true. Like if somebody likes to do or likes the same sex or something, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're just automatically a homosexual. And that's what the world is finding out now is like there could be bisexual tendencies, there could be choices, like or flip-flopping back and forth or whatever. Because I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's urge is still to have kids. Like it's just ingrained in our biology. Like I mean, and but also, and not just to have kids, but to procreate life. Like if you think about like our inner mappings of what tells us to be humans, it's to colonize, build, expand, make better. Like all of the things that we see, like for instance, me doing in this Minecraft world. Like I am following what makes me happy, and I like building things and creating and then moving on, but then not really realizing that the things that I'm creating could have potential impact on the local area, or it could make things a lot better. And I feel like that's a lot of what we need to invest in now, our time, money, and effort, is how to help the world realize such magnificence, but at the same time make it happy for us. And like Saudi Arabia is doing something like that with that giant ribbon city. It's like a mile long of like very wealthy living and accommodations for their people to basically give them all the good life without really having to invest all that much. You just have to be Saudi and live in this giant ribbon with all these fancy, nice amenities and really taking care of their people. And so that's why, like, it makes me sad when we knock entire cultures for a few things. And the whole 9/11 thing doesn't even enter into a lot of people's thinking. Like, I have seen that a couple of times on the X app, people being like, never forget 9/11. Why are we so friendly with Saudis? And like, yeah, probably because it wasn't even the Saudis. Probably because even if they were Saudi by like nationality, they were put up to it. They were put up to it either by people that America trained, Osama bin Laden, which was trained by the CIA to fight Russia in the, um, yeah. So indirectly or directly, we did it to ourselves, and we continue to do it with wealth inequalities. And like we're making some really good things that are benefiting, the uber rich. But what about the average people? And we're starting to fix that too. It's not like people are heartless monsters. It's just greed. Mm. And actually, to be a bit hokey, let's see. We left religion over back in the main area. Let's do a book. We need ink. Um, yeah, I was gonna say, I think I have ink. I've got ink. I've got feathers. Did I just leave all the feathers up there? I did. Let's talk about religion a little bit because Christianity is not completely far off. Like, there are a lot of good things about it. There's a lot of bad, too. There's shortcuts and being like, oh, praise me and you'll live eternal happiness. Like, wait, that's all I got to do? All right, I'll praise you. Praise this, praise that. Like, it's wrong. It's not. If any creator were to come back, put yourself in that creator's shoes. If you came back to your Minecraft world or your Sims world and your Sims were killing each other over which book to believe or which person. Say you and your brother or you and your sister come in and make a Sims world, and one they start worshiping your sister, and you're like, no, that's not good. Or there's several examples of it. Like, well, let's see, we can name this whatever, but let's see, like, God complex. All right, so if you created a world with people, how would you treat it? And then examples of just things for you to look up in your own time, and maybe I can add links. Well, let's see, examples. First one I'm thinking of is Bender. Bender floats through space, so Bender from Futurama. Bender from Futurama, Lisa from Simpsons, and we'll talk about those kind of briefly. So Lisa from Simpsons, that was the original one, so let's talk about that first. So she takes a tooth and she puts it, I don't know, in like a bowl or something, and it starts to grow fungus and grow people. Simpsons. It was just like a science experiment. She was curious. She was ever the little scientist, and she wanted to see what would happen if she just left her tooth in like a jar of dirt or something. Or I want to say it was like a dog bowl or a food or a cat bowl that was supposed to be for food, but she put the tooth in there, and the tooth started growing people. Now these people started worshiping her as the creator of life, because it is human nature to be like, wow, I'm happy, I'm alive. Hey, thanks for whoever did this. Like, that's religion in a nutshell. That's all religion is how to give thanks to a creator and to appreciate what has been created and help others to enjoy that same thing. That's it. But a lot of times we fall short of that because we're tired, hungry, or busy, or didn't think about it. It's a blind spot. Like, we were just not aware that our actions were actually hurting other people or leaving people out. And then sneeches too. Let's go ahead and let's throw that. That's not necessarily a god complex, but that is a very important sneeches, because Sylvester McMonkey McBean comes in and artificially creates superior beings. So he does what a god is supposed to do and puts stars upon theirs for the people that didn't have stars. It's basically like making white people black or black people white. That I think that's the kind of like the whole underlying thing that Dr. Seuss was going for. Or Jewish, like World War II. The Jewish people literally had stars of David put onto their clothes to mark them for extermination or persecution. They were Jewish. They needed to be dealt with. That I'm just kidding. I'm not even kidding. I'm saying like that was the mentality of the Nazis. I'm definitely not saying that reflects my views in any way. And it's important that you understand that I mean nobody any harm or anything in any of these. Anyways, but it's our reality, it's our history. So we had a war about the Jewish people. And now the Jewish people on average, from what I understand from this, they were just better investors, more savvy. They understood that money was going to be a thing, a problem, so they invested in jewels and gold and like goods, and they avoided mass hyperinflation that a lot of the common German people that they didn't have it in their mind to be like, oh, and I think that's part of it. Like I mean, imagine a lot of these Jewish families like banded together and helped each other and figured out a way to survive a harsh economic system, whereas a lot of the other people, and this is what's so strange too, is I feel like churches should be doing the foo funds. I don't know why churches don't do the foo funds yet. I know Noodles and Company is starting to do foo funds type things, and to back up, the foo funds are where just loaning money at low to no interest to people. That's it. Just getting rid of greed in finances. And I know we can't just get rid of all of it because that's a lot of people's jobs. But what if they didn't need those jobs? What if they didn't have to work and make as much money to enjoy a simple life? Because if you really think about it, Minecraft's only 30 bucks. Internet is about 70, 80 bucks a month. It's pretty expensive. Electricity, 50 to 100 bucks a month. Rent, anywhere between 700 and 2,000 a month. So really, if we were to target these things, rent being the biggest one, like people should not pay that much money for a house. Like it's just gotten ridiculous. And then I think some of the foo funds would help correct that. Mm. Anyways, people could focus on producing food, education, building those houses. Like, I don't know. I digress, but I'm going to continue to do this. I have built houses in my lifetime, and I wouldn't be opposed to swinging a hammer for Habitat for Humanity, but we really need habitat for us. We are humanity. Like, I mean, I'm looking for a new house right now, and that's the next step. I finally got a new car, quote unquote new. It's still used, but it's fancy. It's very expensive, and hopefully the last car I have to buy for like the next 20 years. But like now my kids are safer in a car that's not going to break down. So huzzah, I won. Hmm. But now there's going to be a lot of projected like people that aren't in a place where they can get a new car, especially if they have kids. Like, and that's why we do have a lot of social programs going on. It's getting better. It's constantly getting better. Anyways, back to the God complex. So Sneetches, the star upon theirs. And so for those that don't know the Sneetches, it's a great story. Go to your library, check it out. Even if you're an adult, doesn't matter. Go check it out because it. Everybody should know this. In fact, let's go ahead and do that too. So we have that book and quill. So we have another book and quill. Healthy relationships. We also need some iron. Hmm. Book list. So this is going to be. Oh, what? What? I could do a title? What? How did I do that? Oh, that's sign. Okay. Never mind. Once you sign it in sign and close, you can no longer edit it. All right. So book list. The Sneetches. It's possibly one of the most important stories ever. The Sneetches. Actually, we'll just go ahead and just do that for now. So what we'll do, let's go ahead and dump a lot of this stuff. Let's get a mine going because we're gonna need. Let's see, where should I go for all this? We've got the chicken farm. Yeah, we've got this. Oh. So let's just go ahead and just dump a lot of this stuff. We don't need hardly any of this. In fact, we don't. Let's just leave all of this stuff here. Let's just make a mine. Eh, yeah, we'll come back to that. Because I've probably got like another episode after this, maybe, and then I gotta start getting ready. My kiddos are gonna be here any minute, so. Um, actually, wait, as I say that, what? Yeah, I don't know if I have a time for another episode after this, but tomorrow I'll do a few of these. And I do eventually plan on doing some streaming. I still haven't decided Twitch or YouTube. Twitch, I don't know. I'm just not good on the whole hey everybody and talking to everybody. Like, I mean, yeah, I can get better at it, but I don't think I could do Twitch justice. Like, I'm not that great of a socializer, you know? Like, I think I'd rather more be a lurker and, like, put in my 2 cents every now and then when it's helpful. But, and this is as good a spot as any. Let's go away from where it could be dangerous. And also, we're going to need stairs. Okay. This shall be our mine. Alright, and we just need a bunch of iron and resources and all that. And yeah, in the real world, we are destroying the earth like this with mines, and my parents and a lot of our friends and family are somewhat guilty of that. They worked in mines just trying to make a good living, make some good money, and ended up with a lot of problems. So, like, we're digging things out, which then we see asteroids flying by that might be just fine to use. Like, oh, we could just harvest all these, precious metals and minerals off of comets and asteroids flying by. We don't even need to, like, rip up our Earth as much, but I don't know. And we're going to fix all of that too. We've still got a lot of learning to going, a lot of growing, making better materials, making things out of different materials so we don't need. Like batteries is a big one I'm thinking of. Because that's one of the big arguments against electric vehicles is the batteries, like harvesting or mining the lithium. It takes a lot of resources and fossil fuels are burned and used to do that. So, but then it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, okay, yeah, that might be part of it, but overall, the macro level picture, is this still better or worse? So same with wind energy. When I was building wind turbine blades, I wasn't even building the whole turbines. We just built the blades over in Windsor, and that had a lot of like stuff that went into it, dangerous materials that, if not done right, could cause cancer, could cause injury. We had 2 deaths, like of people just getting squished. Um, and that's just a possibility everywhere. Like when you've got heavy equipment and work needing to be done, like there's accidents. There's bound to be accidents, no matter how careful you are, no matter how safe you are, because you're gonna get the person that didn't have a good night's sleep the night before, or was out partying or whatever, or you're gonna have the person that is struggling with their finances in life, so they might drink a little more than the next person, but but they're a great worker. They build really good. Like they do a lot of good work, but I don't know. And it's just a constant, nonstop trade-off of, are the people in a good place to be doing this stuff? And if they're not, then what do we do? Like tell them to go take the day off? No. In fact, I remember when I was working construction, I had a 2-story chimney structure fall and smash my foot. You could even see the imprint of my foot in the plywood on the wall of that chimney structure. It was a wooden structure for a chimney, and we were trying to lift it up, and it fell and it slammed on my foot. I thought my foot was broken. It hurt really bad, but it just turned out to be a contusion, or it was just hit really hard. Um, and my boss, they didn't want me to go go to the doctor because they were worried that it would be a broken foot and a claim and all this, and like, oh crud, like and lawsuits. And see, that's the thing. Like good intentions, we intended good with all these lawsuits, civil suits, suing people, and that's why like my eyes bulged when I saw that Trump had to pay. First, it was what 89 million to Gene Carroll for sexual assault, and then another 400 million for defamation. In what world does that make sense? Like, happy National Women's Day, by the way, but and no, sexual assault should not happen. But at the same time, hold on, hold on. We need to start fixing our society in a few different ways, and we'll talk about relationships as far as that's concerned. Because, like we were just saying, on a biological level, we are driven to try to make babies. Like, we're trying to preserve the human race, and it comes off in sleazy ways, like, and shortcuts, and all of this. And it's nice guys finish last. And we could do a whole series on healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships and the difference, what's gonna probably happen. I mean, and the victimization too. I'm sorry, like we'll go back to that Elon's post about he he posted a response and said this book has a lot of good points, and it was talking about mental illness and mental wellness and how we're actually fabricating more mental illnesses like depression and suicide and stuff like that by constantly checking with kids and asking them, do you feel like hurting yourself? Like, have you had any thoughts of suicide? Have you ever, well, no, I didn't now, or no, I didn't, but now I do. Like, you know, and just being able to put things in perspective for people. And I think that's where coaches and teachers come in, just to put things in perspective. Because if you just hear little snippets of anything, it could seem really scary, especially the Bible. The Bible's got a lot of really scary stuff in there. But and I like to go back to the example of the teacher doing some math problems on the chalkboard or the dry erase board, and she does nine. We'll just say it's a she. It doesn't matter. But they do nine problems correctly, then the 10th one they do wrong. And then the class starts noticing it and starts giggling and like pointing out like, "Ooh, teacher made a mistake." Like, "What? Teacher's supposed to be perfect all the time. They have all the answers." Well, no, they have the answer book and they have years of knowledge, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to get it right every 100% of the time. Like even in building wind turbine. Well, anyways, that was the point. Like no matter how good of a job you do, people are more likely to notice your mistakes than your accomplishments because, oh, hey, this is wrong. We need to fix it. And to whatever level that's broadcast, like, it's a good lesson. It's a very powerful lesson and just a brief glimpse into the inner workings of the human mind. Also, sorry, I got off way on a sidetrack. I like diorite, but let's continue. In fact, let's make diorite stairs. Let's do it. Oh, we're gonna need one piece of iron. I don't have a single. We might have to go spelunking to see if we can find, because it's going to take a while to find it. Do a shortcut, you know, find it the good, honest way. When a lot of we could probably find some in this. All right, that's kind of hard to see with water how it is. I can see there's copper, looks like some lapis, there's iron. So I got to go down and harvest that and not die. Mission accepted. Okay. Okay, that's good. Nope, nope. Let's not die. That's the key point. We were way down here. Ah! Whew, okay. Whew. Alright, so now we need... Let's make a furnace. Do. Need some wood. Do. Let's go ahead and put those in there. Get some wood. Bada bing. And we only need one that we can make a thing. So anyways, it's so hard. Like, it's the relevance and irrelevance of everything. And that's kind of like a thing. Like, whenever you make any decision, you gotta kind of think, and that's what people do, is they think, how relevant is this? And I don't know. I'm like, I keep wanting to go into relationship advice because, and I wish I could still talk to that lady that I just talked to. So, I mean, I could give a little bit of backstory. I haven't talked to my ex in over 10 years. I finally reached out to her. Well, she blocked me on like everything. She was just like, done deal. Nope, I don't want to talk to this guy ever again. I was like, okay. And every few years I'd check the, socials, Facebook. Actually, I think it was just Facebook and LinkedIn. I would just, search her name and, oh, still not found. So either she's just really good at life and doesn't need a LinkedIn, which is pretty impossible anymore to get a job, or she blocked me, and that's much more realistic. Um, there we go. But I did finally reach out to her and we had a brief exchange and we will go into all of that. But anonymity, like I don't want anybody to ever be, oh, whoops. I don't want anyone to ever be called out, be hurt by any of these or anything, and pointing fingers too, because like Brad Pitt said it best in Bullet Train, and I've been saying it before I even saw it there. Every finger you point at someone, there's three pointing back at you. And I remember I was all drunk one night and I noticed that with some of my buddies, and I was like, you know what? You need self-evaluation whenever you're trying to judge somebody. And I was really wasted, like, doing that a lot of times. But the idea sticks. Every time you're going to try to judge somebody, you really need to take evaluation of yourself and be like, am I much better? Like, or maybe is this relevant? Or what's the severity or the intensity of this? Like, there's just so many things that need to go into things. Oftentimes it just makes me shut down and I just don't say something or I just, bite my tongue or whatever the case may be. But like a lot of times I'll say things or do things based on, you know what? I'm not exactly perfect myself, so does it need saying? Like, do I need to point this out to this person? Like, or maybe how can I gently guide them to be like, you know what? Maybe this isn't what you're thinking. Or maybe you need to relook at this or something. But like, or maybe we need to look at this. I don't know. It's really hard. And that's where you get into like management training and stuff. And then you get the Bobs from Office Space where they're basically looking for who can we fire because we can't afford to pay all these people. So we need to fire some people or lay them off or whatever, get rid of them, cut them off of the books for the accounts, and then hire younger people that don't cost as much to do the same amount of work. It's a vicious cycle and it's ongoing and everything's susceptible to it because that's just how capitalism is. You're supposed to make goods or services at as cheap as you can and then, and make a profit. And then you get it's like the underpants gnome, steal underpants, like the three steps. First, or step one, steal underpants. Step two, question mark. Step three, big profit. And that's about business in a nutshell. Like you're always trying to get, how do I get people to send me money for stuff? And now we've got YouTube to where it's like people with more money than they know what to do with are casually just choosing people like, well, not so much YouTube, that's more of a Twitch thing. People come in and drop like big bucks. And I've wanted to do that too. Just make someone's day. Just like go in, and that's packaged emotions for sale. Like you've got someone standing there, basically rattling a cup, but not quite. Like it's more dignified than that. Doing something, providing a service, providing entertainment, providing something, and then someone comes along and just drops a ton of money. It's really cool to see. Like I mean, I don't know, but in fact, I used to watch it with the boys, Mully, Josh Dub. I'm trying to think of all the members. I keep seeing them pop up every now and then, but when I was in between jobs and I was doing a bunch of work on myself to try to get the skills to get a good tech job, I spent my whole time online, like watching Twitch, watching like, and then doing Twitch. I was streaming coding challenges, and I do want to get back to that a little bit, but mainly I just want to work on fixing people, teaching people, and helping people, but not in a forceful way. And that's where religion oversteps bounds. It's a push versus pull. I mean, people might go and seek out peace and enlightenment from religion or other people that seem to have their heads on straight and know what they're doing. But everybody's out there just as confused. That's why religion is so easy to just chalk it up to the big guy. Which there you go, accidental patriarchy. Where why does it have to be a guy? Why can't it be a big gal? And that's why I love Dogma, the movie with George Carlin in it. Um, Asked exactly that. Why a guy? Why not a woman? And it had woman for a god, or God was a woman, and it was beautiful. And I'm sure it made some people's heads explode. Like that's not right. It's God is a man, and I know that because I've had discussions with people on the X app where I just casually throw in there, if God exists and she wants us to do this, then let her tell us this. I don't need you to tell me what you think she's saying from 1,000-year-old book or 2,000-year-old book. And that's why religion's not bad, but it's misinterpreted, misguided, and abused way too often. And that abuse is a shortcut for somebody to get that nice life, the fancy life, you know. So, uh, yeah, but I think we can get there to nirvana, to happiness, to peace, tranquility, to nirvana. And so for those that don't know, nirvana is like the form of enlightenment. I want to say that's Buddhism, where you reach nirvana, you reach peace, you reach like a higher standard of living, or a heaven, or like a heaven on earth. And again, all of these religions are so old, and you've got people telling these things, like passing it down word of mouth for the first, so long, that a lot of things get lost in translation. And that's why I love Ancient Aliens. Everybody should watch Ancient Aliens. In fact, wait, do we have? No, we left that. So there's required reading and required viewing, just required material. And it's not like you have to do this today or yesterday, like you have to watch all of Monty Python and all that, but it helps. It really helps to see what other people think and comedians. I had a big discussion with one of my buddies. Oh, dang it, there's the end of this episode, but let's finish that thought. So I had a big discussion with one of my friends who's very religious. He's very Christian. He prays a lot. He talks about people. He helps. And in a way, if you can get past the ick of Christianity, it is nice because what you're essentially doing for somebody when you sit there and pray with them is you're making them take a moment to think about themselves. It's okay to be selfish every now and then. You need to stop, talk to somebody, your imaginary friend, doesn't matter, and just know that you need to take care of yourself. Every now and then it's okay to be slightly greedy, but not completely. That's why you got the seven deadly sins of Christianity: greed, gluttony, sloth. Again, a Brad Pitt movie. You can go watch Seven, and that talks about the seven deadly sins from the perspective of a police detective trying to catch a murderer that's murdering people and trying to teach the lessons of the seven deadly sins in a very grotesque way, which is not okay. It's illegal, and they're still hunting the guy, trying to put him in prison. But yeah, and it goes back to the whole Ten Commandments: Thou shalt not kill. This guy was killing to try to spread the message and using the shock value of it to really drive down the message when we don't need that anymore. I mean, I'm not justifying that in any way, and it's a fictitious scenario to begin with, but it's based on true stuff. People do all sorts of crazy things thinking that they were righteous or justified in doing so, or, and a lot of that is real or perceived. Like, projection about whether or not are you really downtrodden, are you really the oppressed, all this. And again, Monty Python goes into that in great detail in the life of Brian, like, the oppressors and all this, and these, and they're like, they get really mad at just the different divisions of people trying to speak out against the oppression. Then you got the Roman soldiers just following orders, like, what do you expect me to do? Like, you want me to go change the world? And then you got the wealthy people behind the scenes pulling the strings, saying who gets to die and who gets to live. Like, and that's how the history of the world used to be. Like, we used to have people as self-proclaimed gods basically got to say and do whatever, and were assumed the leaders, the deities, whatever. So anyways, that's good for this one. I might actually have time for another one. Let's go ahead and stop this one and let's continue on the mine. So ta-ta, I'll see you over there.